What's going on YouTube? It's your host Omari back with another episode of the Student Athlete Show. And got a lot going on today, so I'm going to try to do this one take Drake. It's our Game 7 recap and our Eastern Conference Finals takeaways and Celtics in 7. Now, I initially had Celtics in 7, and it was not the 7-game series that I was expecting at all whatsoever. A lot of sloppy games from each team. A lot of really good performances also, a couple of disappearances as well, and Game 7 was a really weird one. Had the Celtics come out really strong in the first quarter, 32-17 after one, and at the beginning of the second quarter, rooting for the Celtics that game, I had a really bad feeling about how everything was going. Had a lot of doom come over me, and it really felt like they were about to let it slip away. A lot of really bad mistakes in the second quarter, and I have to say that although they won Game 7, they did not really look like an NBA Finals team to me. Early in the second quarter, things started going kind of bad for the Celtics, and I started taking notes on the game. I usually just watch the game and lock in, but I was taking notes because I had a feeling that a lot of bad things were about to happen, and they did. It really started with that Robert Williams foul on Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler's coming down the lane, and Robert Williams just makes a really stupid foul, gives him the and-1. Marcus Smart had a foul immediately after I think Al Horford caught a foul on an elevator screen. That one was with about 7:20 left in the second quarter. Those two things were only about 20 seconds of game time apart. Yeah, Jason Tatum missed an and-1 free throw. You had Marcus Smart not secure the ball on a jump ball. Max Strus hits a 3 down on the other end. You have Jason Tatum rush a 3 on the way back up the court and miss everything but the backboard. And then Jimmy Butler followed that up with a 3. And that was about 2 minutes left in the second quarter, 2 or 3 minutes left. And it really just felt like the Celtics were about to let that game slip away. Now, I always call the third quarter the veterans quarter, and I usually find that a lot of teams that have a lot of experience in big games tend to come out of halftime, have what they need to do in mind, and really start executing in the third quarter. And it looked like the Heat were about to do that, and I think the Celtics did a really great job putting out that fire before they let that train get running away. And at one point, the Heat had cut the lead down to 2 points in the third quarter, and the Celtics responded with a 16-4 run. And before last night, I wasn't sure that the Celtics were capable of that kind of thing, because we saw earlier in the series that the Celtics could get out to a big lead, and they could hold on to it for most of the game, and that's about how most of their wins have gone this postseason. The Celtics haven't really been able to grind out a lot of close wins. And that was one thing that I was questioning at the beginning of the series with their lack of experience. And they are really young. They have been to the Eastern Conference Finals 3 times, I think, at this point. But they still don't have a lot of that veteran leadership in spite of players like Al Horford on the team. But I was happy to see that. In the fourth quarter, it really looked like they were about to keep letting it slip away. You saw the Heat keep going for runs. I think they finished the game on an 11-0 run, but they had another run earlier in the fourth quarter of about 8 points, I want to say, where they were cutting the lead back down. And I don't think the Heat led at all last night, which was interesting to see in the Game 7. Like I said, it was really sloppy. A lot of different points of the game where the anticipation was high. I was on the edge of my seat the whole game. And I'm still questioning Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown's ability to lead the Celtics to an NBA championship this soon. And they didn't answer those questions for me last night. Now, they both had really good performances. Jason Tatum, 26 points, Jaylen Brown, 24, combined for 50, but a lot of my questions came at the end of the game. You had Jason Tatum only take 3 shots all fourth quarter. He didn't take any shots in the last 4.5 minutes of the game. And you saw him come out there with the Kobe armband, and I thought I was about to see something legendary. But Jason Tatum didn't take the attempt to take the game over at the end of the game. Now, the Celtics got away with the win, so I can't bag on him too much. He played well, 9 for 21 from the field, only had 2 turnovers all night, so at least he was limiting mistakes. But I would like to see him be more aggressive down the stretch in games like that. I think a big question and a big thorn that might end up being in the Celtics' back in this NBA Finals is going to be Marcus Smart. Now, Marcus Smart is without a doubt one of the more talented players on the Celtics, Defensive Player of the Year, and he's the older of the trio. And it seems like he's not quite ready to settle into the role that he's been establishing in the Celtics. And last night, it seemed like he wasn't ready to hand it over to Jason Tatum, hand it over to Jaylen Brown, and let them be the guys that were going to lead the Celtics through to the promised land. You saw Marcus Smart go 1 for 6 in the fourth quarter, and like I said in my previous video, there's nothing wrong with bad games or bad stretches, but you saw Marcus Smart making a lot of bad choices down the end of the game, and even in earlier parts of the game, like in the second quarter. And I think if they're going to be able to come through and make this NBA Finals a competitive series, Marcus Smart is going to have to realize who he is, and he's going to have to dial it back at some point. Now, I'm going to drop another video before the finals start on Thursday and make my picks, but these are just my initial thoughts on the Eastern Conference Finals series, and I'm a lot less confident in the Celtics than I was when the series started. I think I might have more questions now than I did at the beginning of the series, and I am worried that with all the giants that the Celtics have had to slay this postseason, that they might be running out of gas. You had them come out and sweep the Nets in 4. You had them go to 7 games with the Bucks, and I think these 7 games with the Heat may have taken a little bit out of them. So I'm interested in seeing how much fire they're going to be able to give the Warriors. Such an experienced, such a talented team in the finals with a really good coach in Steve Kerr. And I'm also interested in seeing what Ime Udoka can do in his rookie season as a head coach, making it all the way to the finals. He's been doing a really good job with his decision making, and I'm interested in seeing how he can corral these young, talented guys. So stay tuned this week at the Student Athlete Show, and we'll see who I pick.